Hi, Maddie Cook. How are you?
Good, Hilly Jefferson. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. And we've got another person today. Hi, Heather. How are you?
Hi guys, I'm great, thank you. Thank you so
Oh,
much for having me on.
Oh,
well,
thanks for
thanks
coming.
for being here. I know we're dead excited. We've got a guest this week. We love having a guest, don't we?
We do.
So, Heather McKenzie, aka Glam By Heather, on the
Yes.
socials, is our guest today, and we're going to have a chat. And we've decided the topic we're going to talk about today is trolling online. And Maddie and Heather have both had a bit of a time of it with trolling. Me, not so much. And so we're going to talk all things trolling online today, all the things and see where that goes. And so, Heather, I do know that you've been trolled, but do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this is actually really good timing because one of my videos at the minute has gone a little bit viral again. Like sometimes they have like a little bit of a lull and they start up again, and I've noticed that one of them, and it's actually like, it's literally just a video of me washing my fringe and not washing the rest of my hair, like God forbid. Um, and people are going insane because I'm disgusting, I'm dirty, I'm this, I'm that, I'm lazy and all the other things. But yeah, so I do get trolled quite a bit, especially when it's like me on there. Like I've been doing a few Get Ready With Me videos and things like that.
Mm.
And that sort of stuff is getting a lot of, it gets more positivity than negativity, but I think you focus on the negativity a little bit more. You can have like a
Of
20
course.
really, really nice comments, then you get one and that just niggles you all day because it's like just saying something really nasty, and that's the one that you focus on. But yeah, I do get
Yeah.
quite a lot.
And do you find that like you said, you get trolled more when it's about you? Do you get trolled much on your work, or
I do,
do you
yeah.
find it's
So work
always?
wise, it's never really on my clients. It's never really about the actual client and how they look, luckily, because if it ever is, I would delete that straight away. I don't respond to it. I just want to block them because I'd hate for my clients to see that.
Yeah.
Um, it's usually about like my technique or my work or something like that, not necessarily the clients or their looks. But when it's me, it's yeah, usually a little bit more personal. But yeah, it's
Mm.
you do get quite a bit, which is not very nice. But you kind of just get used to it after a little bit.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. I don't want to get used to it. That's why I stay on TikTok. What about you,
Honestly, if this
Maddie?
was like 5 or 6 years ago, I would just never. It would have happened once, and I'd never post again for months and months because it would drive me insane. It'd literally like niggle me that much. But now I just think, do you know what? I'm never going to grow. Like I'm never going to get anywhere if I'm letting these people do what. That's what they want. They want to upset you. They want to hurt you. They want to stop you in your tracks a little bit. And it's like, well, no, like you're not paying my bills. This is paying my bills. Like doing things like this does help. My business and my content creation and all that sort of thing. So I just think, well, like, why am I going to let some idiot on the internet who I don't know, who don't know me, stop me from growing? And you just have to
Yeah.
kind of get in that mindset a little bit of, I'm just going to keep pushing myself. And I always look at the pictures and stuff like that. Every time I get one, I have to nosy and just see what they're doing. And it's never somebody that's doing great, is it? It's always
No.
either somebody behind a dog picture or just somebody that's not very nice. And I just think they're just a bit miserable. Do you know what I mean? Like they're not. It's never anybody that's doing better than you or on the same level.
Yeah,
It's always
Yeah.
somebody
agreed.
that's they're probably just a bit miserable or sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of that is so interesting, isn't it? What about you, Maddie? Tell us your trolling experience. I know it's vast as well.
So, it's a war and peace. How long you got? So as a person with opinions, a woman on the internet with opinions, it actually started before, pre having opinions on the internet, and the first one, and it's funny because this actually bonded me and you, Haley. Which so really we've got to be thankful to these trolls because that's probably how this came to be.
Oh, I
The
remember
Daily Mail.
this.
Yeah, so I was
Yeah.
going sea swimming like through the lockdown. I live at the coast, and me and my friend Grace had gone, and it was snowing, and there was a photographer there, which is like quite common anyway, like up at the coast. And he was like following us round because we had our swim costumes on, and he was like taking all these snaps, and I could have killed him because he's like, "Will you just walk back and do that again?" I was like, "Mate, it's like 2 degrees," and he said, "Oh, I work for the Northern Press," so I thought, "Oh, I'll be in the local Chronicle. What a lovely treat." And I went about my day, and a couple of hours later, I got a text of someone I haven't seen for years saying, do you know you're on the front page of the Daily Mail website? I was like, oh, against me will, which gets about 1 billion clicks a day. And it was the usual Daily Mail, like, it's snowing, so the bins aren't getting collected, and how terrible Britain is in the snow. And I made the mistake of going into the comments. And it was funny because we were on the front page, but we weren't in the article. So people literally got so pissed off from the front page, scroll down and down and down and down, or read the entire thing to then get to the comments to be like, I'm going to tell you how much you've pissed me off. And there was some really, there was like, one was you woke Corbyn lover lefty, because they found my Facebook as well. We'd given our names, so they'd found us on Facebook. And I was like, well, that's not really an insult, because I am like a woke lefty Corbyn lover. Someone said we look like a toilet door, which I thought was actually quite creative. So I'll give them that.
I don't know what that means.
Like tattoos, isn't it? Like you look like you've been scribbled.
Scribbled on.
They hated the tattoos. They hated that it was women. They hated that we're not like size 0. And one of my lovely clients, Yasmin, put a really nice heartfelt comment on, saying like, if you knew these two women, they're so like accomplished and driven and they've done so much. And a guy just replied saying, fat nasty slag. I was like, okay, maybe we don't argue with these guys. And but my theory is, so do you know how you were like, oh, these people don't pay me? I'm like, I'm going to make you pay me, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to monetize you being an arsehole. So I was like, screenshot, put it all over my stories. Had the best engagement day, the best sales day, the best registrations for the masterclass day. Hayley was in my DMs. Quite a lot of like prominent people were like horrified and messaging me, and I thought, oh, actually, it didn't really bother me though. Like I'm not bothered that much by these people, but I just thought, how can I get as much out of this? And then my other ones, like there's people in the industry. So I had a beauty therapist tell me she couldn't watch my ad where I've got the like yellow Chelsea skinhead. She was like, your hair's so distracting that I just can't even listen to you. I've had a lovely chap who, back to your point, Heather, doesn't have a profile picture, who said that my group is like a cesspit. So I put a discount code on. I used the code cesspit and put a discount code on, and I made enough to buy a Gucci bag. Brilliant. So shout out to him. Thanks for the bag. I have a little knack now where I'm like, okay, if you're going to be an absolute arsehole, I'm going to make some money out of this. So thank you.
That's amazing.
I probably had more, but those are the ones that I can remember recently.
That's so good. That's so clever. I love that.
Oh, I
Get some bags.
I'd hate it so much. Yeah, I don't really get trolled. I've probably had 2 slightly shitty comments so far. And one was on TikTok, one was on Instagram. And, you know, I made a post about freelancers getting burnt out. And I had a salon owner in the comments going, salon owners get burnt out as well. Why don't you do something for salon owners? And I was like, well,
I do.
If you scroll back a couple of posts, you'll see where I talk about salon owners, and you could join my membership, my leadership course. I do all sorts for salon owners, you know, and I just was like, and that just disappeared. And then there was some woman going on TikTok about something. I can't even remember, but I just know that she kept coming back every couple of days and another thing. And I just thought, wow, how invested you are that you come to find that post again every couple of days to add to your point. And
She's a fan.
I can't even remember what it was about. Like, literally can't remember what it was about. But this is all just making me think as well. That, you know, when you said like woman with opinions, I'm going to pivot over here to Taylor Swift. We love talking about Taylor Swift, Maddie. But, you know, did you see the Super Bowl where she was getting booed when she was on the big screen? Has anyone seen that yet?
No, I've not watched it.
I went in the comments actually like a mad person, and it was just full of people saying grown men booing a woman for existing and being successful. Literally. And I was like, yes, I was loving those comments. But I just thought, you know, it sounds like a few of the guys that have commented on your stuff, Maddie, it's just like, they're just mad at you for being a woman in a way, isn't it? You know, it's daring to take up a bit of space. So hard. But I thought I'd like to get Taylor dropped in there if we could. I was really sad actually when I could hear all that. Yeah, when I heard all that booing, I just was like, what is happening? And my brain went, oh, this will just be fellas who support the other team. booing, but I just thought, oh, it's awful.
I think it's people who support
Um,
his team, like, because there's people who are like, oh yeah, she's dating this guy because he's in the Super Bowl.
Was
It's
she
like
distracting him?
she's a billionaire. Like, she does not need
Yeah.
anyone else's money. Like,
Yeah, she's all right.
insane.
She's all
She'll
right. For
she'll
his
do
wages.
okay. Yeah.
Like, I don't even, like, I don't dislike her. I'm not a fan. But I don't know who he is. I still don't even really remember his name. I couldn't tell you his name.
No, I
but I know who
don't.
she is.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I only know that he is in existence because of her, who I'm not even much of a fan of. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it's
exactly.
like, who's doing better?
Yeah,
it's
exactly
so
that.
interesting, isn't it? But I think I remember when people used to accuse, like, say, Posh Spice was distracting Beckham from his game, and so it gets into that. But we digress now, which is what I love to do. And so I'm interested in how it makes you feel, Heather, when you get trolled, and maybe something like how it used to make you feel and how it makes you feel now, like if there's a difference.
I think it depends what day it is and what mood I'm in and like how I'm feeling. I'd love to say that it never bothers me, but it still does a little bit. Like, most of the time I find it quite funny. And it helps your engagement. Like, you're always going to find in them kind of videos, if your video's done well, you're always going to have a little bit of shit in there, always. And it does help. Like, it helps keep bringing people back. But I think it just sort of depends on your mood. If you're already in a bit of like a down mood, or you have a bit of a rough day, and then you get a comment that's not so very nice, like, it can niggle on you a little bit. Like, and I've found sometimes I'll then dwell on it, and then I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, why am I letting this person like have space in my mind and ruin my day even more? Like, it's just silly. But I just have to try and talk myself out of it when it stays like that. But I'd say most of the time I find it quite funny, and I'm glad for him a lot of the time, because, like I said, it does help your engagement. As crap as that is, you shouldn't have to rely on things like that, but it's just how social media works, unfortunately.
I should get on that. I should get being a bit more divisive, shouldn't I? And washing my fringe on the internet. What?
I just watch my fringe. That's all I've done.
What? Do you remember how you felt? Do you remember the very first time it happened to you?
I can't. I think it happens that often now. It's all blurred into one, to be honest.
Blurred.
Yeah.
Yeah. But more often than not, you find it funny. I mean, that's interesting. What about you, Maddie? How does it make you feel, and do you feel different about it now than the first time it happened?
I think I've always been quite lucky, I guess, like the same as Heather. Like, I find it quite funny. I find it really curious, because I like to sort of people watch, and I find it a really interesting observation on people and like behaviour. And same as you, Heather, I'll go and have a little look. I'm like, who is this person that I've never heard of? And once you do, exactly as Heather says, realise that this person is, if they don't even have a profile picture, like they don't have like a public profile, as in they're not prepared to like share their opinion and their perspective and help people and, do the things that we try and do in the way that we show up online. They're never working harder than any of us. They're never doing better than any of us. They're so miserable. And part of me feels actually a bit sorry for them, because I'm just like, what happened in your life or in your day that's led you to feel the need to do this? And especially, like, I've had that as well, Hayley, where people have come back. I had another one on TikTok. This is my very brief foray into TikTok, and then had a viral post and was like, okay, I can't deal with this. More the energy of it, I found it was totally taking up so much brain space. And I was talking about friends and family discounts, and actually a number of people said that I mustn't have any friends because I said friends don't need to give friends discounts, and they were like, you mustn't have any friends. And I just thought, do I have friends? Oh yeah, I do. Okay, now I don't care. So I'm luckily, like, I think I'm very secure. They haven't found anything that I'm insecure about to try and get in with. So maybe they just haven't found the thing yet. But because I just laugh at them, I find them quite funny and quite interesting more than anything. But I don't think that's changed. Once I learned how to monetize it in a way, I'm like, yeah, bring it on, like, just keep coming. But yeah, and whenever it happens, I do get a lot of, especially women, saying like, I don't know how you can cope with comments like this would like devastate me, and I close my profile down. So I appreciate that it's not the same for everyone, but sadly it is a bit, in my mind, I'm like, it's a bit like the cost of admission, in a sense. Like, if you want to have a big following and a lot of people respect you and like you, there has to be with those numbers people who just absolutely can't stand you, who are much more vocal than
100%.
than anyone else. So it's like a bit like, I'm not trying to avoid it. It's just like, I accept that this is part of, sadly, like, can't control that, but it's a part of being visible, I guess, on the internet.
Yeah. A lot of times I will not delete the comments, like I'll leave them up, because I kind of just think, like, you said something really horrible, and one day you're probably going to regret that you've said something really horrible, and that's still there. Like,
Yeah.
I want people to see that you're a dick. But also, what I will do if I don't want it to take up brain space, like, you can swipe it off your notifications so you can't keep seeing it when you look at your notifications. Because every time you go back and see it, you're like, oh. Right. So I'll just take it off that, but then not off the comments, and then I'll just kind of forget about it then.
That's good. Well, I was going to ask that question, is like, what do you do in the moment? I didn't even know that was a thing, so that's really helpful. So that's something you kind of removing it from your brain space. But yeah, I think like leaving it up is a bit like, let's just show everyone what an absolute arsehole you are. And I don't know if you've ever found this. If you found people come in and start defending you, then they get into like arguments like in the thread. Yeah.
Honestly, it could be like a video about a washing machine, and then people will somehow get into like World War II, like arguing about God knows what, and on completely different subjects in the comments. I'm like, how did you get there? How have you now started arguing about this? People have just got too much time on their hands.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Really make that connection.
Yeah, how has that dribbled down into toilet paper? I don't know.
Yeah,
I know. Sometimes when I go into the comments, I think, why am I doing this? Why am I going in the comments? Why
Stay
am I
out.
doing it? But sometimes I see a post and I think the comments are going to be wild on this.
Mm-hmm.
And I just have to confirm to myself that that's what happened.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of other things, like I didn't know the thing about the notifications. That's really good. There's a couple of other things you can do. Did you know you can hide comments, but the person who posted it still thinks it's there?
No, I did not know you could do that.
Yeah, and so you can hide it, but they don't really like it. So it's like taken down, but it's not taken down for the person that posted it.
Yeah.
And so that, depending what they say, that can be useful, can't it?
Yeah.
And then our good friend Vivian Johns of the Hairdressers Social Club told me that you can do keyword blockers. Mm-hmm. So somewhere in the settings, you can set words that if someone types them in the comments, their comment just doesn't get put on. Or maybe maybe it does the thing where they think it's been posted, but it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same sort of thing. And so, what could you, there's all sorts that you could put, like if you're worried about them commenting on you.
Fringe.
You could fringe.
Scruffy.
And you might even put things like clothes or fats or slag. They've all come up so far today.
Toilet door.
But you could put some. That's a wild one, isn't it? But you can put these things in, but you can also put things in like complaints, didn't like, like anything that you think might go in a phrase where someone was saying something horrible. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, that is really interesting.
Yeah. Is there any other things that you folks are doing to sort of protect yourself from this?
I'm not really too fussed about protecting myself anymore because I don't really mind the comments as much, again, depending on the day. But I do try and comment back to a lot of them, and usually quite sarcastically and not in like an upset way. Like, I want them to feel stupid. And I think if you're nice or sarcastic, they might feel a bit of a dick rather than you just going at them, because they're there for an argument. They've posted that to get a reaction and to get a negative, like they want an argument that they must do. That's the only reason you would comment something horrible. So I try and be sarcastic, because then I'd be like, if that was me, I'd be like, oh, I feel a bit of a twat now.
Yeah.
That's what I try and do.
Bothered.
Yeah, not bad.
It's like saying bothered. Yeah. What about you, Maddie?
The ones that I do deal with the same, where I'm just like, oh my God, I felt so invalidated this morning, and all I wanted was validation from a stranger on the internet. So, tough for me. Or I get them on my, like Facebook ads is a thing, because obviously it does go to people.
They're my favourites.
And then what they don't realize is when they engage, they're just going to see all of my ads all of the time. And I'm like, you can just you can just press the button, you know. So sometimes someone will like be absolutely raging, and I'll be like, "Who hurt you, Barbara?" And just like leave that on.
Yeah,
And like,
are you okay?
Yeah, you okay, hon? Do you want to talk about this? So sometimes, yeah, I like to be really sarcastic, but then I've also got like, and this is from Haley's Be More Mariah that she taught us, and I have people who like field my emails and field my Facebook page. So there's stuff that doesn't get to me. Maybe I would get on TikTok if I could have someone to like look at my comments first. So I guess there's that as well, that if it was really horrible, it might not actually get to me, or someone would just delete it and, you know, get rid of it or whatever. But yeah, and then I think like on another side is like building self-esteem in yourself, so these people just truly don't bother you, like not feeling like you need to be validated from strangers on the internet, which is maybe like a lifelong bit of work. But
yeah, I think that's true, because it's something Heather said at the beginning. If you're already having a bad day, this does feel worse. Like if you're not feeling great, this will have more of an impact, you know, and that's just normal day-to-day life, isn't it? But if you're someone who's not feeling great a lot of the time, I really wouldn't recommend going on TikTok. But honestly, if you ever come across Maddie's ads, like totally go in the comments. They're so much fun. Honestly, whenever your ads come up, I always go and look in the comments, see if there's anything.
It's so funny. And then you'll get people going, "Well, I love your hair." I'm like, "Thank you for loving my hair that I've not had for 2 years," but okay. But like I was talking about. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Oh, sorry, guys. I was going to say, that's why I think Reels are getting quite bad for the comments. Like, TikTok I don't find as bad anymore. I think Reels are, because, like, a lot of things come from Facebook. And I think Facebook have the worst comments. I think there's a lot of... I don't know what it is about Facebook, but it just brings so much negativity. And I think a lot of them are then coming through from that, which... Because I found Instagram before used to be quite nice. Now I find it's a bit more like that. I think it's because of Facebook coming through.
Yeah, I agree.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We had a weird comment, Maddie. Do you remember recently? It was on one of our podcast reels, and I don't know where it was. I don't know if it was Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok. I can't remember. But do you remember that woman just put, "These two seem to know what they're talking about,"
and we were like, "Is it serious? Is
she being nice or not?" And we just
you never know how to
take it out.
No.
We went and had a look at her, didn't we?
Yeah.
See who she was, and we were just like, "She's not a hairdresser," just literally. And we were like, I'm not sure if we were trolled or not.
That one.
Yeah, I mean,
had our first podcast troll or not, we're not sure.
Yeah, you're not doing a great job at trolling if you can't work out if you're being trolled or not. Maybe be a bit more specific.
I was tempted to put thanks. Just like, I just thought, I don't know, and then I just thought, I'm not even entertaining it.
Play that one.
I'm just not.
Just drop that one.
I'm not doing it. I can't cope.
I know. We had a meeting with our ads guys today, and they were like, normally we see people's video ads like fatigue after like a number of months, and they're like, "You have ads." So there's about 20 different versions of me. I look completely different, and all of them different. It's like my eras tour. But they're just like, leave them up, and they're like, you've got such good engagement. They're like, just keep pushing these ads out because they've got loads of comments, and I'm like, okay, fine. Yeah. So yeah, fill your boots if you ever see one of them. Come in and troll me actually if you fancy it. Just give us a little cheeky comment, and I'll get in front of more people. I know. Why, Heather? Why do you think people do it? Like, what do you think drives little trolley Trollison to leave some of the comments?
Well, I know it sounds quite cliche, but I genuinely think it's either jealousy or some sort of sadness in themselves. Like, it's got to be, because if you're contented with yourself, you wouldn't feel to do that. Like, don't get me wrong, I go through Instagram like Reels or TikToks and I think, but I wouldn't put it. I'd just be like, oh, that's not for me, that. So I'll just scroll along. I would never say anything nasty. I just don't. Why would you want to? Like, why would you want to upset anybody? And I just think, yeah, it's got to be either you're not very happy with yourself, you're quite insecure, and then you're putting that onto us, or some sort of jealousy.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, you're right. It's like I think it's quite natural to like not like certain things or disagree with things, but it's how
that's fine.
It's how important they feel their opinion is to be like, I think this horrible thing, and I also feel like this person should know about it, even though we don't know each
Yeah.
other. That's the weird bit.
Yeah,
What's
and
your
I need to
thoughts?
give you this
Oh, sorry.
advice and all
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
unsolicited
And
advice
I
as
don't
well.
need your advice.
No,
Oh,
we're
my
not asking for
favourites,
that.
all these things. I find it painful these days how everybody thinks their opinion is so important.
Yeah,
Like just generally in life,
Yeah.
everyone just thinks that if they've got an opinion and they must share it. Like
Mhm.
no one can have one and keep it to themselves anymore, can they?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
think, what are you doing? I find it so dreary.
I know. I've been trying to practice, like, just going, I don't have an opinion on this topic, like, and I don't have to form an opinion on every single topic ever, let alone share it with the world, you know, or whoever. What's your thoughts, Hayley, from mental health profesh? Why are people trolling?
Wow, it's very interesting actually. I have some thoughts myself, and I did a little bit of research on trolls to find out what the motivation is. And so I suppose what needs to be said at this point is that there's a real array of trolls, isn't there? From why you're just washing your fringe, right up to death threats and violence, you know, like across the board. You know, we've not experienced that, thankfully. But, you know, like if you just go looking up about the motivation of trolls, we're really talking about a wide spectrum of behaviour. But what I thought was really interesting is we all presume these are people with low self-esteem, and the research shows the absolute opposite. These
No
are people
way.
with high self-esteem.
Wow.
These
Oh my
people think
God.
they're amazing. These people think they're amazing. They've got high self-esteem, which is why they think their opinion is so important. But also, these are people who, well, Heather said this, why would you want to upset anyone? You want to upset people if that's how you feel better about yourself. And so these people have got a combination of high self-esteem and they feel better by putting other people down. That's how they keep their position and their high self-esteem, is by putting other people down. And so it does feed them, but it's coming from a different place than you think. Now, this doesn't mean these people are dead successful. They've still got high self-esteem, which is an interesting conversation, an interesting combination, you know, of doing nothing with extremely high self-esteem. It's a dangerous sort of person, I think. It's also connected to boredom and amusement. There is certainly this thing of they're just doing it to amuse themselves. And the more mad, if you get mad, they love it. If you're upset or you're mad or any of that, this absolutely feeds it, you know? And so it's interesting to think about this as this person thinks they're brilliant. Like, I think that's so interesting. What do you think about that when, you know, the studies show that they've got high self-esteem? What do you think?
That is really interesting. But that does make sense, to be fair, because, like, why would you say it unless you had that sort of confidence about yourself? I suppose that does really make sense, but that is quite interesting.
It is, isn't it? I thought it was dead interesting when I was researching this. I was like, because we always go, or they feel bad about themselves,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
they
yeah.
get their good feelings from slagging other people off. But it's kind of, they do get their good feelings, but it's the opposite. It's like they're a monster and they need to make people feel bad to make themselves feel better, to keep their high
Wow.
self-esteem and their superior position, which is a bit flawed often, because when we've looked them up, they're not smashing life, are they, a lot of the time?
Well,
What do you think, Maddie?
yeah, I mean, there's nothing like the unearned confidence of a very mediocre cishet man in particular. Do you know, like if we could wake up with that level of confidence every day. Yeah, that makes sense. You know, some of mine, I'm sure, think they are the shit. Like they think they are the smartest guy in the room. No, you know, doesn't everyone love them? And yeah, that makes sense. Actually, it's just bizarre, like as a concept.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? I think it's high self-esteem that's fragile. That's how I think about it. It's fragile, and so they've got to feed it, you know. And I think that's why a woman taking up space, you know, in your examples, Maddie, you can see why it's so fragile. It's like you or him.
Yeah, There's only space for one.
You know? Yeah. And so I
Yeah.
think there's fear attached and losing this sort of self-esteem. I think it's that. And so the advice around this is never show you're upset. Don't fight fire with fire. Like, don't really argue back. And so when I was listening to what you two do, I was thinking, it's perfect. You know, the sarcasm, the making it into a code for a discount, all of that, you know, are you all right there, Barbara? It's total indifference.
Yeah.
It's like an indifference and a you haven't bothered me. I'm going to make you look stupid. You know, like when you say you want to make them look stupid, Heather, it's like, you're not just scared or anything. You're just like, whatever. And so it's this, in making them feel that you're indifferent is a brilliant way to do it. Another option for people is to just ignore them. You know, if they're not quite as bold as you two, you can literally just ignore them, because we're talking about not feeding the fire. You know, that's the thing. I always say, don't fan the flames of madness. And that's one of my favourite sayings about many things. But I think what's also interesting is this idea that it's everyone's responsibility to take trolls down. And so you've talked about this a little bit, Maddie, where people jump to your defence a lot. And I like that, you know, that if you see it, you can just simply say, that's not all right.
Yeah.
That behaviour is not okay. And so, you know, other people can police other people's comments in that way of saying, stop that, you know, you're making yourself look a dick. And I do see that quite a bit when I love to delve into the comments sometimes when I think it's going to be wild.
Yeah.
You know,
I know a lot of people do like sort of say like, oh, we should just ignore it, then they'll go away, and like that's fine if you don't feel like you can respond to them, but I think ignoring it makes it all right.
Yeah.
And I think
I know what you mean.
calling it out, talking about it, other people responding is maybe doing a little bit more. I just think if you kind of just ignore bullies, they'll just carry on thinking it's okay because no one's ever like saying anything back to them, sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I get that. I suppose it's just that not everyone's got the confidence.
No, yeah,
you know,
100%.
to say something back. But I really think that listening to you two, how you deal with it, when it does eventually happen to me in a big way, which it's going to, I've got more ideas of how I'm going to handle that from a couple of experts who have done some really good, funny stuff where, in a way, kind of, you know, ends up being a pretty funny part of your day. You know, I mean, obviously it depends what they say, but you have really found a way to turn it on its head. And I certainly feel inspired that I might have some ways. I mean, I think you'll be on speed dial, you two, the first time it happens to me in quite a big way. I've not had anything really bad. I wonder if people, I mean, do they just feel like a total dick trolling a mental health person?
Oh yeah, I mean it's not a debate that you want to. I think I said this to you, Hayley, the other day. A phrase that my dad said to me loads growing up, and I live by this: is it's better to be thought of a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. So like, basically, don't go into anything that you can't really debate. And I love a debate, but I'll only debate where I know what I'm talking about. And I think that's probably how they see you, Hayley. Is like, yes, you're very pleasant and very kind, but like, you would absolutely mop the floor with anyone, you know, in any sort of like mental health topic. So I wouldn't want to troll you.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I would as well. They'd see the other side.
Yeah. Actually, I do. Maybe I'm going to pay someone to troll you so I can see.
I know, yeah. Let's set up an account with a dog picture and then...
I know, if it starts happening soon, I'm going to be suspicious.
Yeah, give it a minute. All of that. That's a cool insight as well. Thanks, Hayley, for doing the research for us. I would like to ask you, Heather, for anyone who's like scared or maybe holding themselves back from being visible or thinking, oh, I want to share this or, you know, create content in this way, but I'm scared. What kind of advice would you give them?
It's hard because I do think social media is like just a different beast now than what it was when we first started it. So I think you kind of just need to step your toe in a little bit, just do little videos. Maybe don't post yourself in so much to begin with, just your work, just your hands. And then the more you do, the easier it'll get. And then, like, I'm not a confident person at all. Like, sometimes it might come across that way on social media, but I'm really not. And it took me, I still don't like to talk to the camera. It takes me a lot to, like, get that courage up to be able to do it. So it's just sort of tipping your toe in a little bit and just doing a little bit more each day or each week that you're comfortable with. And the more you do it, the easier it'll get. The first time you do it, if you've never done it before, it's not going to be easy. There's no easy way out. You've just got to kind of like grin and bear it, which I know is pretty shit advice, but there's just nothing else you can really do. You've just got to sort of post it and see, and you'll probably be fine. Like, most people are. It's just every now and again, like, I'm normally like fine, but like every now and again a video will like kick off and you'll get horrible people in the comments. But if you're not used to that, you can turn the comments off, you can just delete it, don't respond, just switch the comments off. If you can't cope with that, that's absolutely fine, just switch them off. Like, I've had to do that once before on a client one, because that was one time where they were going in my client, so I had to switch the comments off because I didn't want like my client to then see that, like I said earlier, and get upset. But yeah, I'd just say dip your toe in and just go with it. But it's kind of, if you want to grow and you want to get a certain amount of followers and views, it's kind of going to happen. So you've just got to sort of learn to live with it and grit your teeth a little bit, even as harsh as it is.
Yeah, it's like Maddie said, it's the price of admission.
Yeah,
You know,
and it shouldn't be, because people always
say,
say like, well, if you put yourself online, you should just expect it. And you shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
But you do have to.
Yeah, I don't think that is terrible advice, Heather. I think that's actually really good advice. I think it's about expanding your comfort zone very slowly.
Yeah.
And, you know, and as you learn something new or get brave, your comfort zone gets bigger and your tolerance of things is bigger. And that's exactly how you do it. You take very little steps, lots of little steps, and then you start to look back and you can see a bank of things that went well, experiences that went well. And that's what drives you forward. Oh, I've done 10 posts and no one's done it yet, you know, and stuff like that. And I think if you're putting your keywords in, like Viv says, and you know that you can just shut the comments down, you can hide them, you know, there are a few tools if it happens. I think all those things really add up to it being easier to show up, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's like, I just think you've got to look at other people. Like, I look at like really big hairdressers that I look up to, and I look in their comments and they've got it, and I'm like, well, they're incredible. Like, and I think they're like at the top of the game, like, and all this and that, and there's still somebody that's saying something. So I just think, well, do you know what I mean? It's just going to happen. Like, if they're getting it, I'm going to get it.
Yeah, I think it's like, it's at a certain size often as well, isn't it? Like, as you start to grow, you know, when you've got 15 followers, it's pretty unlikely because they're going to be your mates. It's when you really start to get big numbers that this is a bit more likely, isn't it? Do you think that, Maddie?
Yeah, definitely. I think it was like when the group hit 10,000, when like in the 10,000, in the 20,000, and I guess it just becomes with the content. Like, I'm confident being, I know that I have quite divisive content, and I speak with like conviction on things that I feel like I'm confident about. And that seems to piss people off. I think anytime you just kind of go, I'm going to die on this hill, or this is my opinion and this is why, there's going to be people who have a different opinion. Or another weird thing is that they completely take what you've said, and like, do you know when you were saying you can talk about a wash machine, then they're talking about loo roll? I find that even in the trolling is that they can completely misunderstand your intention, like put words in your mouth that you didn't even like. I had, you know, I've had people be very upset with me for words that I have literally never said, because they've taken that from something else that I've said and like assumed my intention on it. So that's another joy of the internet, is that people can deeply misunderstand you and attach their own narrative that then pisses them off, and it's like you didn't even know that you'd done that because you maybe hadn't said those particular things, which is not trolling, but it's still like a reaction of someone on the internet.
100%.
And I think that also a thing to remind people who might be scared of showing up is that this isn't happening to you guys constantly.
No.
This isn't on every post.
No.
Mainly it's on Maddie's yellow hair ones, isn't it, Maddie?
It just irritated everyone so badly.
People who weren't a fan with that.
No.
You know, but it's not constant on
No,
every post.
not at
You know,
all.
it's in the minority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and it's usually when it's something quite different or controversial, like Maddie said, like you've got a strong opinion on something that can be so divisive. So again, like going back to advising people on how to start, don't do things like that. Like don't do like unpopular opinions. If you don't want
Yeah.
people's opinions on that, then like that are probably going to be quite
They're popular.
controversial back, yeah, and unpopular. Don't start off doing stuff like that. Sort of do things like that when you feel like you're ready to that. Right, I'm ready for the comments now, like that sort of thing.
Yeah, good advice. Really good advice. Oh, thanks, Heather, for telling us about your experience and what you've learned. I've certainly learned stuff from you two today, so I'm ready now. When they start, I'm totally ready.
Get them unpopular
Get some
opinions
lined
ready.
up. We'll see. So, Heather, we like to end every episode of our podcast talking about our ADHD hyperfocuses, because me and Maddie both have ADHD and are usually obsessed with something. And so we're going to invite you to tell us if you have any kind of hyperfocus at the moment, but we'll go first and give you a little minute to have a little thinky.
Yeah.
What have you got, Maddie?
So mine this week is food masquerading as another type of food, in particular croissant edition. So you've got a cronut from, in particular, Marks and Spencer's, delicious, which is a croissant in the shape of a donut. And this week I had a cruffin, which is a croissant in the shape of a muffin, and it had custard and like a lemon curd on. I'm just kind of vibing croissant pastry made into a slightly different shape than a croissant.
I thought they were a mixture of the two as opposed to the shape of the other one. Like I thought
me
a
too.
cronut was a combo of a croissant and a donut.
No, it's the
like
pastry. So you've got so a cronut is it's like laminated the dough of a croissant made into a circle. So that's a cronut. But so the pastry is the same. And there's also a place that I'm desperate to go to. Our gym, we have a group chat. No one talks about the gym. We all just talk about pastry that we're eating that week. And they do like a cube. They haven't really named it a thing, but it's like a croissant cube. And it's like filled with pistachio cream, but it's like the other end of Newcastle. So I'm trying to convince people to set up like a pastry exchange scheme where I'll bring a local one in. There's a couple of people from that end of town and do like a Friday morning, you know, bring your local pastries and do a little swapsy. So I'm trying to make that a thing. But yeah, just croissant
Maddie,
pastry.
Do you remember when I was sending you constant memes about the square croissants from London with the pistachio in?
Yes.
Like we were going to London to do something and I kept sending you these memes going, we need to go.
I know.
And we didn't get there. But they were doing the square, so they've made it up north. That's what we know.
It's got up here. I'm never going to London again.
Finally.
It's here.
We never have to leave.
Yes, it's all happened. So that's my jam at the minute. What's yours, Hayley?
I'm obsessed with a new program that one of my a woman in my membership told me about, a friend of mine called Sharon. Shout out Sharon if you're listening. She told me about a TV show called Homestead Rescue. It's on Discovery. Right, it's the best thing you've ever seen. I love a makeover show of any description. Like, I just love makeover things. Homestead Rescue is in America, and a homestead is like living off grid, off the land. I didn't know that.
Dream.
So this guy and his two kids, they're grown-up kids, this family, they're experts in rescuing people who are living off grid who are not doing a brilliant job or things are going wrong. And so it's like a makeover show, but they're in like the middle of nowhere, up a mountain, in a flood zone, and there's a wildfire on the way, and the house is collapsing into a mudslide, and they're cut off, and they've got no electric. You know, it's crackers. And they come in and fix it. It is the best thing I've seen. And you have to watch one, and you're like, I don't know if I'm into this. There's not a lot of decorating going on. You know, like normally I like everything to be pretty.
Yeah.
But once you've watched one, you get really into it. And you start, you start thinking to yourself, if there's a flood, I think I'd know how to divert the water now. Like, I feel like I know what to do. I feel like I'm getting good skills for if there's a crisis, I might start becoming a person to call.
Well,
So
you
there
can be on
go.
speed
Ben
dial.
said
We'll give you a
rescue.
bell.
Yeah, for anything like that.
It's brilliant. Like, totally treat yourself. They've got a new series on a Sunday, and the episodes are 2 hours long. But you
Crikey.
can sort of go in, you can watch all the old ones and stuff. They're like an hour. So I've been treating myself binging that. So yeah, I highly recommend that.
Love.
Love that.
It's good. What about you, Heather? Have you got any kind of hyper focus at the moment?
Yeah, I've usually got like something that I'm obsessed with for a few months at a time. At the minute, I'd say I just came back from like Disney World a couple of weeks ago, and I'm still like there in my head, and I can't wait to go back. So I'm just like researching everything Disney still, all my outfits, all that sort of thing. So I was still in that mindset before, and I'm like, I've not quite escaped that yet. Like, where's the best place to stay? Like, all the places to eat, even though I'm not even got anything booked. So yeah, Disney is mine. Disney World.
You want to have a little chat with Emma Fowler?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she
She
loves
loves,
it, doesn't she?
she loves a Disney deep dive, doesn't she, as well? Did you go to the one in America or the one in Paris?
Florida, yeah. Went to Florida one.
Emma goes to Paris mainly, doesn't she, I think? But she loves
I've not done
it.
Paris yet, and I've been looking into that. I've been obsessing with that one as well a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, Doug, you've gone to Paris, haven't you, Maddie?
I've been to both. Yeah, I've been to Paris. I've been to Florida, I think 3 times or 4 times. I can't remember. But like, I love it. Full blown like Disney adult. We booked the princess breakfast in the castle, which is like limited numbers. And I thought, oh my God, is it like little Tiny Tim's dying wish to have a thing, and I'm going to take his place? And I thought, well, I can have my place through a little Tiny Tim. And I was sat and I had my ears on and I had a dress. I don't know if you know Black Milk, it's like an Australian brand, but they do all the really jazzy printed leggings. And I had it was the stained glass from Beauty and the Beast dress, and I had my ears, and I think I had this sort of colour hair.
Love that.
And I had like kind of dark, like kind of black into like teal hair, and they're like, from under the sea, it's Princess Ariel. And then Ariel comes out and says hello to everyone. And I'm not going to lie, breakfast is a bit shit for like £100 or whatever you're paying, but you're not paying for the breakfast food. You're paying to meet all of the princesses. And Ariel said my hair was nice. And that was in 2016. I've been dining out ever since. It's mint.
Was it the yellow haircut?
It wasn't the yellow skinhead. I think should have fallen out the window and I'd have been barred from Disney Princess Breakfast. But it's because you're not allowed to, during the day in Disney, you're not allowed to dress proper in the outfits, because in case you start like taking pictures with kids or whatever. But you can for the Halloween party and for like the ticketed. And we went to it's called Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. It's so cute. And there was like families, honestly, the effort. I can totally see you and the fam doing this, but there was like Mary Poppins and her fella, whatever. But the effort that they go to for Halloween was just, all the kids were in full outfits. It was just dead canny. You get loads of sweets as well.
I love it. We dressed up like every day. I did one where Bowie was Olaf and I was Elsa, and I think I got away with it because we've got tattoos, so they think she's not. No one's gonna think she's Elsa. But we were in the queue to meet Olaf, and this little girl kind of looking at me like up and down, and she was like, "Mummy," and then she kind of looked at me a bit more, and then figured out that's not her.
Oh, it's so cute.
Tattoos on
Too many tattoos for Elsa.
Yeah.
There's something I've heard about Disney, and it sounds like the worst place to work in the world. And I heard there's a bar where it's New Year's Eve every hour.
Oh,
wow.
Has anyone heard of this?
No, I've
not heard of that
You told me about this years ago, and I feel like it's in America, in Florida. But I don't even know if it's true, but someone told me about this, and I literally thought, that's like the worst job for a student ever. Imagine, I'm not a fan of New Year's Eve. Imagine every hour the countdown.
Yeah, that's too much.
What is that about? I need to Google it and find out if that's true or still a thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna Google that.
Will you go and have a? Can you go and have a look at it?
Yeah, I'm gonna get on that one.
From there. I just thought it sounded like a living hell.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
the happiest place on earth. Well, you're making me want to go to Disney you two now.
Let's go.
Oh,
I need a return trip.
Let's do a trip.
I've not been for
years. Podcast research.
Yes.
Get the sponsors on. Lush. Oh, thank you.
Has been fun,
thanks,
folks.
Heather. Thanks, Hayley.
Thanks.
No, thank you for having me. I've been listening to it for a few weeks as well.
Lush.
Oh, thank you.
So excited.
Nice.
It's our pleasure.
And Maddie, I'll see you later.
Yeah, see you next week, pal. Thanks.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. And don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments.
Please support those who support us and check out Timely, who we recommend is our favourite booking system for you. New customers can get 50% off their first 3 months with the code COFFEE50.